So, although the official show won't launch until sometime in February 2023, Mnet's Boys Planet is already starting up. And, its pre launch promos are also starting to be available right now. And so, yeah, plenty of useful new show information, competition information, and soon we're going to have a lot of contestant information as well. So, similar to what I did for Queendom 2, I will be doing like episode reviews, predictions, and personal rankings throughout the course of the show. And I'll probably even consider maybe live streaming some of the very long side content because there's going to be like 98 contestants and they're going to have like their intro packages, maybe even performances beforehand. And I want to look at all of that ahead of time, kind of learn some of their names and also kind of give them early rankings. And then maybe from that, I'll come up with predictions and I'll build what I think is the best team. And if you're interested in any of that, then you want to follow along, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we can continue with that. So let's get into it. Let's see. So what we know so far is that we do have official confirmation that the Boys Planet show will premiere in February 2023, like I said earlier. It's going to have 98 participants selected from around the world, but the way it panned out so far is there's going to be 49 Korean boys, which is one planet, and then 49 global uh, guys who are like, I guess, from China, Japan, uh, Thailand, Canada, USA, somewhere in Europe, like just all over the world. It's supposed to be completely global. But already you can see that, with 49 Korean boys and 49 global, there's already some kind of systematic advantage for the Korean side of things. And that's usually how it pretty much always is. In the last season of Girls Planet 999, the Korean contestants actually had a 50% vote advantage over the rest of the global players. And in the end, there was overwhelmingly more Korean people in the group than Japanese or Korean. Apparently, the show format may be changing. They're saying that there's tags attached to the show that are saying that, and they're also talking about how they want to maximize viewer participation. And so I don't know what that means. I don't know if people are going to actually have a bigger say in this, rather than having so much of it filmed in advance and then decided in advance, including like who wins group competitions against each other according to judges. Maybe people will actually get to vote more this time around and get to decide, have a bigger hand actually in just choosing who the end product is going to be. Uh, Also, apparently in Boys Planet, they're training in a place called Paju Gyeonggi-do. And then the last thing we know is that the debut group will have 9 members. And so that's what we know so far. We do have this. Is this an image of the training center? So we have that. Obviously, we know there's K group and G group. But let's get into, because it's still early and we don't really have anything else to go by. I know that they did show some videos for male contestants, but I don't want any of that spoiled for myself personally. I want to look at the introductions and look at them objectively. I don't want the show to decide anything for me. So I know that there is early content on boys, showing like some people who may be from a certain group that already debuted and all this other stuff. I don't want to know about any of that. I'm trying to approach this objectively. I'm ranking and building objectively just based on the introduction packages and whatever else is going to be available. I want this to be as fair as possible in terms of my own personal judging and ranking. That's just something I'm doing for fun. So let's take a look at something. Let's see if this works. All right, so Boys Planet Bingo. This is how we're gonna deal with early predictions at this point because I don't really know what to expect. They're changing things. We just have the facts that I've already laid out for you, and now here are just my own personal predictions based on what I saw in Girls Planet 999. And this is a bingo card you guys can use if you want to as well. I don't really care. If you need me to make it downloadable, let me know as well. But obviously, you can fill these out yourself. Honestly, 25, 25 things is a lot of predictions and bingo cards to come up with. Like just coming up with 25 things to place in these boxes, it's a lot. But anyways, let's start with the first thing. The most important thing is the middle, is the free spot. I think Mnet will do evil editing. That means misrepresenting something someone said or misleading the people into thinking something happens and it does. And so you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that weird, like, just edit about, like, oh, this guy, he's smirking a bit. Maybe they're trying to make him look bad. And then turns out that doesn't happen at all during the actual show. That just, like, what happened after the commercial break? The thing that was at the edge of my seat trying to figure out, like, what happened when this guy smirked, and then nothing actually happened. It was just an evil edit to keep you tuned in. So that's one thing that's happening. Uh, a popular song is going to carry an otherwise mediocre group. That's something that I think will happen. I think that someone's going to sing a song from, like, a big group, like, I don't know. I don't actually know any big boy groups, like Big Bang or something, right? Like, someone's gonna sing a song that's really popular, Stray Kids, someone big, and then the group is gonna sing it kind of like half-assed, but it's gonna carry them because people like it, they enjoy it, and as long as they don't mess up, that's probably fine for a lot of people. An early favorite is Suppressed. So I think that early on, people are gonna look at these 99 contestants, and there's gonna be a few people who stand out, and then one person who may be favorite, maybe a white guy, or a half white guy, or a Brazilian guy, or something. Just someone who's an early favorite, has a really nice personality, but maybe is not Korean. And it's just so overpowering in terms of the voting. Kind of like Hwaneng Bay, it was on Girls Planet 999. This early favorite is going to be suppressed. You're not going to see them. They're not going to edit them. They're hardly going to give them any drama or highlights. And they're just going to, like, it's going to be suppressed, and I think that might happen. Nope. Where is this? An egotistic star is a bad teammate. So you have one guy who's going to come out there. He's going to be like a solo introduction. He's going to have a solo performance to introduce him, and I think that might happen. And he's going to be like a huge star, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, this is my favorite. It's in my top 9." And then he's going to be in a team, and suddenly he's going to be like, "What? I wanted the high note. What? I want the killing part." Even though they vote and that person doesn't get it, and then they might be a sore sport about it. And obviously, if you guys know Girls 199, you might have a few ideas on the type of people I'm talking about. A prop failure. So maybe during a performance they'll have a prop, and the prop will fail. I don't really think this one's gonna happen because Girls Planet, they didn't use a lot of, like, really fancy sets until, like, near the end, I think. And even then, they didn't play a huge role like they did in, like, Queendom 2, for example. But Queendom 2 had a lot of prop failures or set failures. I don't know if they change the format. I'm thinking a prop failure might be in the works. At the very least, like, maybe someone, like, trips or something over some slippery, like, mechanic. Like, I don't know if they use a fog machine, or if they throw pedals down on the ground and something happens. So that's one thing I thought happened. Mnet DLC. So if you guys know what DLC is, downloadable content that appears in, like, mobile games or even regular games. And I think that Mnet is going to have some kind of tool that you're going to use to maybe vote or consume information on Boys Planet. And what's going to happen is some of that content is going to be paid. And I think that's just going to happen in the course of the way. Maybe something important to the show. Like, you want to vote, or you want to have a vote that matters. Hey, how many song singles put out by Group A, for example, is going to have sales? And I think that's something that could happen. So, another thing is a suspicious favoritism. Do you guys remember when Kim Dayon suddenly just, like, came out of nowhere, and she's like coming up with choreo that's so good, or her mom suddenly, like, one of the people giving, like, the other contestants a tour, and it's just like this kind of strange favoritism that it just appears out of nowhere, and it makes you kind of suspicious. And so I would say suspicious favoritism might rear its ugly head at some point. Maybe there's going to be one contestant, a guy who maybe he was popular on another reality show, and Mnet has a close relationship with him, and maybe he appears as a judge or, like, a favorite in some other, like, just side shows because of his fame in another show. Now, I haven't seen any of the shows, so with me, you're not going to get any favoritism. I don't know any of these groups. I've only been, like, looking at K-pop for a year, so and although I did see Girls Planet 999. And so I'm new to all this. No one has any clout with me. Even if I do recognize them. They're not gonna get anything from me. So yeah, suspicious favoritism. I'm over explaining. Subtle product placement. Say at some point, let's say guys are preparing and there's just a weird edit where a guy's like, wow, I got a migraine. I could really use one of these fancy gel pads, and then just like sticks a silicone thing attached to his head or something, and it just like sticks on. It's like, wow, I already feel better already. Or, wow, these snacks that we got in a picnic basket from the Mnet producers are so good. So I think there's gonna be some kind of subtle product placement. Maybe even like the guys will get like win some advantage, and it's gonna be like a trip, a day out, and they're gonna be like driving in like a Kia Sonata or something. So like some kind of fancy car or some other. Well, Kias aren't fancy, but I mean they could be. Forget what I said about that. Subtle product placement. Another thing is a cliffhanger edit. So let's say this is something similar that happened to Eugen, and also it happened to what's her name? Why am I forgetting? Hikaru. So they're like every day, every commercial break, they're gonna be like advertising this person's performance, this guy's performance, and then suddenly he gets to the end of the show and smoke comes out of his face, and then it says next episode you'll see his performance. And so there's gonna be like edits like that. If that happens, checking this box off. A shy samurai. What this basically means is that the Japanese contestants are very shy, and so if one of them is conflicted, it's like, I don't understand the instructions for this choreography. I can't get the subtleties explained to me from the leader because I don't speak Japanese, or I don't speak Korean properly. And so I think that a shy samurai or a Japanese contestant who has a language barrier is not going to be able to understand what's going on. And so there's going to be a situation like that where they may even struggle with people not voicing their concerns until just a random opportunity might show up. Like maybe someone will show up and say, "Hey, I speak Japanese and I can explain it." And then there's going to be like final like an emotional outburst where they finally get to explain it. Younglings with ADD. I think there's going to be like a small cute boy or a young boy who's like really small and energetic, and he's going to be like really good at first, but then eventually he's going to like not be able to learn new choreo, or he's going to be extremely distracted or pressured in some way that he's not going to be like that he's going to stress out the other teammates that he has on his team for whatever tasks they have to do. I think that's expected. That happened in Girls Planet with I forgot her name, but yeah. And let's go to the next one. Wardrobe malfunction. Hey, maybe a shoe, a heel splits. I know it's not going to be the same as girls losing a heel, but a guy could have like a shirt rip, butt crack, ripped in his pants, something like that. A boy cries. So guys, typically probably less likely to cry than girls, but I think that there'll be so much pressure, or maybe it's more, the flamboyant types might end up crying on the show either from extreme pressure, either from joy, or maybe even sadness of not being selected if they have like, choosing teams and stuff like that, or maybe just being upset because they didn't get the killing part. A sports day. I think that they're gonna eventually have some kind of vacation show, a show where they like take a rest, and like maybe they'll go to like a public park or something, and then they'll have a sports day or some kind of physical activity, like something that just has nothing to do with performing or singing, and they'll just have a whole day where they just rest or have fun, maybe cook food, eat something. Bad group ruins good participant. So what this means is, the mechanics of these shows are extremely spontaneous and maybe unfair. And so at some point during this process, you may have a guy who could be a favorite, and just for one reason or another, they maybe choose the wrong door, or they choose something blindly, and or they get chosen last for or whatever reason, they end up in a group that's not exactly well balanced, and then that group fails, or they don't win or don't get chosen in some way, and that good participant who everyone likes doesn't get through because the group may share a vote, or the group just performs so badly that that guy just doesn't get any votes at all. And so that could happen. An early fave gets pressured. So similar to Urina, we're talking about someone who's a favorite early on, and then they start to feel like, whoa, I'm at the top of the pyramid, and suddenly they're under a lot of pressure. And maybe that'll mean like, oh, I don't want to take the killing part. I don't want to take anything that'll make me look bad because they're under a lot of pressure. Or they do end up trying to take on a killing role in order to keep their top spot, or just to be highlighted on the show more. And then the pressure gets to them, and they can't perform as well, or they can't memorize things, or it's just eventually they'll break down for some reason. A roguish bad guy. So you guys know what I'm talking about here. You guys remember that Chinese contestant? What's her name? Why am I blanking on everyone's names? The redheaded girl who sang Helicopter. Like, how about a guy who's like just walks into the room and he's like, he just tries to be a little bit underhanded, but then he like sees it as advantage and he gets it over on people. I think there may be a roguish bad guy who a lot of people will like, and then a lot of people will hate very easily. But in the end, it'll probably just be evil editing. Gratuitous topless moment. You got guys, you don't have the same restrictions that you do with girls, and so at some point, there's gonna be like some situation where a guy comes out and shows all his abs. Maybe a judge will even want to see it, and stuff like that. And so I think that might happen. Language barrier drama. This is very similar to the Shy Samurai thing, but it's going to be a situation where Chinese contestant, Thailand contestant, Canadian, English. Someone is going to not be able to communicate properly, and they may have an important role in a team, and it's going to be drama caused by a language barrier because someone doesn't understand the other person's customs, or how they speak, or what they mean when they're trying to speak. And it reminds me of Chai Bing. She was like painted as the bad guy, but then like when you started to see more about it, you started to see that she was really just not understanding the communication, and she didn't mean to be like non-communicative, and she was really open to actually being a decent leader. But then because of the communication issues, people tended to see it as like rude, or mean, or like selfish. But I think that there was genuine communication issues there with Chai Bing, for example. Boys fight. What I mean by this is not just yelling, but I think that there may be a physical altercation at some point. Boys gonna push each other, or people are gonna need to be held back, and I think that just might happen. A lot of testosterone. We'll see. I don't know anything about these shows, like, so I haven't seen like Produce or Island or whatever of these things. So I don't know if that ever happens, but I'm just guessing it could happen, especially with a global group of guys. A judge ends someone's rant or career. So what this has to do with is that time for the group Cutie Cuteen. What happened was, I think it was Lee Young Jin. Is that her name? She's known as Ara now. She's in Ailey One. She actually debuted, so her career didn't end. But what happened was, on the show, she got the killing part through a fair vote, and then because Sun Mi was like, "Oh, Gwen Maya is so cute, let's put her in the killing role. I suggest this," and so it was a very strong suggestion, and it was very like dismissive of the other girl's like right to be to be judged fairly and have a chance to get the things that she earned through voting. And then suddenly she had to give up the role or appear like a bad guy, and then she ended up giving it up. And all the judges could say about her is like, "Oh, she's a good girl." And it was like they put her in that position where she basically had no chance in getting into Kepler, and would like just like lose out on it. But in the end, that performance did turn out well. But I'm just saying that this is gonna happen. I think a judge is gonna like make some kind of like suggestion or a strong choice that just ends a contestant. That person's gonna have no chance. But hopefully it doesn't fully end it. A Chinese wannabe leader. So like similar to what we saw with what is it, Chai Bing, or what's the other one's name? Shao. No, Ru Su Suri Surichi. And so similar to what we saw with them, they want to be the leader, but maybe they're not qualified to be the leader. Maybe they're more like the lead star, the center role, and they're used to that. But when it comes to like communicating and being able to lead other people, maybe they don't have the skill set. Maybe their imagination about themselves is better than their actual ability to lead. And I don't know why I singled out the Chinese people. I'm just saying that in Girls Planet 99 it happened with the two Chinese people, and we're gonna see if it happens again. Pretty boy gets a free ride. I think that at some point, a really handsome guy or a really cute boy, someone who's like just a lead, and maybe they're kind of like they're okay. They're not like, but they're not like a superstar. But I feel like there's gonna be someone who's like really handsome, and they're gonna get like a free ride throughout the show. To some degree, there won't be like maybe they'll have to, maybe they'll try to rap, but they won't rap well, and then they'll just like background sing, but they can't lead vocal, can't lead dance, can't lead sing. And it's just like one guy is gonna be like that. And more power to you if you find visuals is an important part of being a group, and you need visuals. So I'm just saying, it's not like disparaging. It's not intended at disparaging. It's just a prediction of what will happen. A famous relative, at least one of the contestants, will probably have a relative who's already an idol or something. That's just a guess. An early favorite posts. And so what this means is that someone early on will get a lot of highlights because they do some, possibly, the popular song carry thing in the top left as well. An early favorite may like become a favorite, and then they'll do a popular song, and then they'll coast through the rest of the show without really being that important or doing anything that spectacular. But then, like, who knows, they could maybe get to the top 9 of it. So this is my Boys Planet bingo card. I don't know what kind of bingo cards you guys will have, or if you're just gonna use mine and follow along with me. But yeah, that's available. Let me know if you guys want it as a download or something. But frankly, I don't think really. It's 25 squares on a piece of paper, so you guys can come up with one of those on your own if you just want to draw it out. But yeah, that's where we are so far. It's still early. There has been about 4 or 5 days of Boys Planet media, so I look forward to that. Going forward, I think that I'm going to be putting a lot of time into this show. It demands a lot of time, and it demands a really strict schedule as well. Like, I'm going to have to stay up till like 4 a.m. in my local time in order to catch this show, just like I did with Queendom 2. And, no, I'm not going to be able. I hope my internet connection stays solid throughout the whole thing. And then I'm going to do my reviews, and that's going to take like days of editing. And then I'm going to do any side content I have to do as well. Just try to keep on top of the drama outside of it. I'm sure something will happen outside of it. Oh, like a guy caught doing drugs on the side, or a guy did something, got in an argument in the airport. Like stuff happening outside of the show may affect them as well. So, but you can put that on your bingo card if you want. I didn't really think about it until now. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I look forward to watching this and commenting on it. If you want to follow along, like I said before, subscribe. And I guess that's pretty much all I can say about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why. And finally, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so I can see you in the next video.